Hey everybody, if you enjoy my content here on the Right Side Rising podcast, feel free to go check out the Buy Me a Coffee link below where you can show your support for this podcast and help it grow even bigger and better with the right equipment and most importantly, the ability to give you guys the content you want and you deserve, whether it's from my room or big events like America Fest in Phoenix. Thank you guys all for the continued support and make sure to go check out that Buy Me a Coffee link below where you can show your support for me and this podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Right Side Rising. So today we are joined by one of the most prominent voices in the pro-life and conservative movement, and that is Savannah Craven, who is currently doing one of the most bold things somebody can do today. And it is truly inspiring how much she is doing right now on the front lines of this cultural war. So Savannah, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Gino. I'm inspired by you.
Thank you so much. Well, Savannah, honestly, I'm so inspired of you and I'm glad you are here. And so many of my fans and so many people who listen to me and what I do are inspired by your work and the pro-life mission. So I'm glad to have you here again. So I'm going to get it started right off the bat. I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, kind of a little bit about who you are and what you exactly do.
Absolutely. Well, I have a YouTube channel called Her Patriot Voice where I go out on the street and interview people, mainly leftists, people on the opposing side of my conservative values, and try to see why they're so mad, why they hate the Trump administration so much. And I have yet to truly understand. They can never really give me reasoning. But I'm also a pro-life advocate. I am completely anti-abortion. It's something that I speak often about because as somebody who is considered a minority, I'm brown, that is what our number one cause of death is. And so I speak out for, young people like you and just try to inspire people to use their First Amendment.
Yeah, that's so inspiring. So obviously you're very motivated and you're inspiring for many others, but who or what inspired you to take initiative?
Sure. Well, when I was actually in college during the Black Lives Matter protests, when after George Floyd had been, he died, I sort of started getting more into politics because 2020 was the first year that I was going to be able to legally vote. And as a young person growing up, I always was raised with conservative values. I've been Catholic since my birth. And I just based a lot of my life on Jesus Christ and wanted to become closer to him because I felt like there was something truly missing from my life. I moved to New York when I was 17, went to my dream musical theater school, and I felt like I was living the dream. All my dreams had come true, but I still felt this emptiness. And it was the lack of connection with God and that I wasn't really in the place that I was meant to be. And while I did do professional theater for a while, even after I decided to drop out of college because I was so done with all the leftist ideologies, and I also did not want to get the COVID vaccine to return back to school, I found myself even more lost. And my mom, God bless her, she actually found the Student Action Summit in 2020, which of course was put on by Turning Point USA. And it was in West Palm Beach in December 2020. And I decided to go, and I was connected with countless young individuals who had had similar experiences to me in college. And I finally felt like I had found my tribe. And when I realized that I could make activism something that was like my full-time career, something that I could do on an everyday basis, I just fully put myself into that. And so I worked for a pro-life organization for a few years until I decided to truly follow my calling, which I feel like is man on the street content and connecting with people in real life.
Yeah, that's so inspiring. So, obviously, you mentioned becoming a full-time activist. How can somebody like me who may still be in school and is a little bit younger, how can somebody like me become an activist like yourself?
Absolutely. Well, I think you're doing a great job with having your show, your podcast. That's a great way to start. But starting a pro-life or conservative group on your campus, you'll be shocked, even if you're in a leftist area, this is for everyone watching, that you will find people who agree with you. But you really need to step up and be a leader because not everyone is a leader, right? But when you take that first step and people see that not only is it okay to speak out for what you believe in, but that you can find friends through it as well.
Yeah. So, and I want to just mention just how young all of us are. I mean, you're very young, I'm very young, and a lot of this audience is very young. Now, Why do you think Gen Z, this younger generation, is so inspired and has this such a drive? And we're all pro-life. There is a conservative movement truly growing within the youth, and there was such a revival within the church. Why do you think that is?
Sure. Well, I believe that it's people like Charlie Kirk. And unfortunately, I also believe, unfortunately for the left, it's because they've become so radical, so progressive, and so ridiculous. I'm just going to flat out say it. Where these people, grown adults, act like toddlers. And this is no longer between left and right, Democrat or Republican. I mean, there are still normal Democrats out there. A lot of them are older, like Obama, first term Obama
Yeah.
Democrats, and like the Clinton Democrats, where they were normal. We agreed on most things, like that illegal should not be in the country and that abortion should not be available through all 9 months of pregnancy. But when these radicals come in and take over the party, and normal people fail to identify with that anymore, and they see that the left, or excuse me, that the right is actually very accepting. I would say that we're more diverse than the left is. We have gay conservatives, we have Jewish conservatives, we have Muslim conservatives, we have atheist conservatives. This is not just, it's not a monolith to be a conservative, right? We accept everybody. We just have constitutional values. We don't believe kids should be trans when they're 5 years old, or, under 18. And so these are just basic things that most Americans used to agree on, where more people are siding with the right, with the conservative movement, because we're just more normal.
I mean, yeah, and I just want to kind of go back to the point that we are more accepting and kind of tolerant. I want to also point
Yes.
out that you are a black woman. I mean, you are a young black woman, and you are the epitome of the right's acceptance and tolerance, because I truly, and I hate the stereotype that we're not accepting of black people or minorities. You are a minority. I mean, and you are the most prominent, one of the most prominent voices on the right now. And I just want to point that out.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, and I wanna kind of go back also to something you said. You said that they are becoming so much more radical now with, this younger generation is starting to realize that. Now, you are on the streets, you are on the front lines. What's one thing that you have learned from doing things on the street and kind of seeing these people firsthand that the average American doesn't see or hasn't learned yet?
Right. Well, I think we're starting to expose it more, especially Nate Friedman. He's based here in New York, where I'm at. And he's been exposing that a lot of these people at these leftist events, these protests, these rapid response events that are just popped up within hours or less than 24 hours, and there's thousands of people there. These people are being paid. They are professional protesters. Most of them, I asked them why they're out there. They can't give me a clear reason. They can't tell me why they think Trump is such a horrible president. It all comes from, oh, well, it's what he said, or, I just don't like him as a person. It's like, well, we didn't hire him to be a church boy. We hired him to fix and run a country. And so get over it. If he uses the cuss word, flips some people off every now and then, although I don't recommend having that. But I mean,
Yeah.
imagine all the hate that this man goes through. He's had to completely rearrange his life. He was living a very, very comfortable life as an actor, as a
Yeah.
billionaire, but he decided to step in and take care of America when we really needed it the most. And so, I just continuing to see how the left just loses their minds. It needs to continue to be exposed. And that's why I'm going to keep going out on the streets, so that more and more people can come to our side.
Yeah. I mean, how real do you think TDS is?
Oh my goodness. Why is this not like a real disease that needs to be diagnosed? Seriously. I mean, it's literally like everything is okay unless Trump does it. Trump could cure cancer, and the liberals would still be mad about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I think they should start classifying it. I mean, seriously, I think therapists are actually asking, or I think it's an official like thing that you can self-diagnose yourself with is like
Yes.
TDS. It's pretty crazy, but I mean, we'll have to see where that goes, because seriously, I think if this is the first year of Trump's new like term now, I can't imagine how bad it's going to be over the next 3 years and beyond when JD and all these other get elected. I mean, we'll have to see. But
Yes.
do you have like a craziest experience that you had while street interviewing?
The craziest experience I've had was when I was assaulted in the streets of Harlem last April, where my assailant, Brianna J. Rivers, walked up to me. I was doing videos on the street talking about Planned Parenthood and about the 2023 to 2024 annual report that had come out, exposing that Planned Parenthood gets nearly $700 million of our taxpayer money every single year, yet every year the abortions are going up, and these other healthful services like cancer screenings, adoption referrals, and birth control are going down. So it seems like Planned Parenthood just cares about selling abortion, right? Instead of actually planning parenthood and avoiding unwanted pregnancies. So we were talking about this, had everything on video. You can find the full video unedited online. It is edited, taking out the profanities, but I believe that I was truly targeted by my assailant because of my pro life views, because of my Christian faith. And unfortunately, the Manhattan DA did not feel that my case was serious enough to actually prosecute her criminally. And they completely dropped my case by missing a key filing deadline. Yeah, right. And basically,
Crazy.
the eggs, I know,
That's
but
crazy.
this is a reality, and after the 90 days, the case timed out, and I was no longer able to, pursue the case criminally, and so I'm right in the middle right now of a civil suit trying to at least get the money back from my $3,000 in medical bills that I had to go through because this woman punched me in the face twice, once with her fist, another one with her phone, which caused massive bleeding out of my left eyebrow, left a scar. And this is the type of violence, this is the type of behavior that the left thinks is acceptable if you don't agree with them. And we see what happened to the great Charlie Kirk, where they're willing to go all the way with this. It
Yeah.
doesn't just stop at profanities, calling you names, doxing you, punching you in the face. They will kill you. And there are people that want me dead. I get messages about it every day.
Yeah. I mean, if you could you walk us through, like, how did they drop the ball? I mean, I can't even, and I'm just gonna point out the obvious. This was on camera, the entire interaction through when she walked up or you walked up to her, I don't know exactly how it started,
Yeah, she
to
walked up
her,
to me.
yeah, to her assaulting you and then walking away. I mean, how did they drop the ball like that? Could you kinda go into a little bit more detail?
Sure. So, with the evidence that my lawyers were able to collect, like I said, they missed the key filing deadline where they failed to submit the evidence. And you have like the right to a speedy trial. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know all of this perfectly. But basically, if you miss the filing deadline, it times out within 90 days if no evidence is presented. And the scariest part of all of this is the DA assigned to my case wasn't even a member of the New York bar. This is just a simple law school graduate who looks like, I mean, he's not a member of the bar, so maybe he just could never pass it or didn't try yet. And this is something that happened under what's called a student practice rule, which should only be used for very minor offenses, not an internationally recognized assault case. I mean, I was getting interviews and press on this from people in Australia. I was on Sky News. I mean, this is one of the most watched platforms in Australia. People in England interviewing me about this, and Fox News. This was something that was very, very serious and telling. And what sort of message does this send to not only people who think like her, right? That you can go and hurt someone and get away with it if you disagree with someone, but also to all Americans, because you're not safe to go out on the streets and use your freedom of speech, speak your mind freely without thinking, hey, I might get hurt or worse. And then the DAs are not going to do anything about it.
Oh, I mean, I can't even pick out what's worse. You getting assaulted for speaking your mind, or the justice system, which is supposed to protect individuals' right to free speech like you and me, dropping the ball with so much. I mean, how much evidence do you need? I mean, whole thing was filmed start to finish. I mean, how can to the best of your ability, what piece of advice could you give to us to hold the justice system accountable for this? Because this is unacceptable.
Right. Well, I plan to, again, like I'm pursuing the civil route, and just to continue to speak out for Charlie Kirk, for other persecuted Christians and activists that rightfully and respectfully, peacefully go and use their their rights, right? Our constitutional rights. And the most important one is the right to free speech. But we also need to make sure that we're not backing down. People were so surprised that even just the next day after I was assaulted, I went to Planned Parenthood to celebrate the closing of the only Manhattan Planned Parenthood. Because you know what? This woman, these people who believe in what she did and support her violence and her ignorance, they're not going to scare me. I have God on my side. I was chosen for this. I have a mission. And God says, you're made for such a time as this. And so I'm not going to let these people scare me. I see what they did to Jesus, and I know what we're fighting for is right, right? We are fighting for the right thing. And so we need to continue to do that.
Yeah. So you obviously mentioned your faith, and your faith is, I mean, you're so devout in your faith and your religion. How exactly does your religion and your faith kind of bridge or kind of shape your politics?
Absolutely. Well, my faith is very important to me because I think it's what brings me back, right? When I hear all this noise and all this hatred outside when I'm talking to people, people are yelling profanities at me, calling me names, and it doesn't bother me because Jesus said, "Before they hated you, they hated me first." And when demon filled people and broken people hear the truth, the demons just they manifest, right? And they take over people. And so I don't take anything that people say to me personally because I know that I'm a child of God. People might not always agree with my approach or how sarcastic or funny I am in some of my videos, but my approach is that politics is so depressing. I think that the left and the right can both agree on that. And so I like to
Oh,
throw
yeah.
a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of humor in there because we're truly living in the end times. I mean, we're living in a world where people are cutting off their private parts because they think they're the opposite gender. We're killing our babies through all 9 months of pregnancy. There is a genocide going on, and people think that we're under Hitler. People have lost their minds. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we know that we're in the end times. We know that we don't have much time left. And we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but Jesus said he was going to come back. And so we need to be ready for it. We need to use the short amount of time that we have left.
Yeah, truly. I mean, that's so inspiring. So I want to take a little bit of a turn back to Planned Parenthood. And you mentioned something like cutting off genitals, or what's also known as castration.
Yes.
So I don't know if you knew this, but Planned Parenthood actually is one of the biggest providers of hormone blocking drugs. I don't know if you knew that, but I mean, I don't know if you can provide a logical explanation for that. I don't know how anybody could, but do you think that Planned Parenthood has kind of evolved into something more than a place where parents could plan out their parenthood or whatever they wanted to start it for, and it's kind of turned more into like a left-wing sort of agenda pushing center? Like, I don't what do you think it's kind of evolving
Right.
into now?
Well, we know that Planned Parenthood was never actually meant to be a place where you could plan your pregnancies or plan your parenthood. The founder of Planned Parenthood was Margaret Sanger. She was a racist, a eugenicist. She believed that children were weeds. And we see, exactly like you said, that it's morphed into more of like women's rights and abortion. It's now into transgender care, this gender affirming care that they are the biggest providers of in the one of the biggest providers of in the country. That's been one of their fastest growing, sections and things that they offer in the history of their existence. So they are trying to target children. The trans movement, all of these drag queen story hours, they're having youth pride events right on the pier in
Really?
Manhattan and all over the country. Yes, they want to make sure that they find these kids as early as possible. Kids are the most vulnerable group of people. These, especially young girls, are so impressionable, impressionable young women. And the message is nowadays that if you like something as a little boy that maybe is normally for a girl, oh well, you must be transgender. No, children copy what they see their parents do. So if a little boy sees his mom putting on lipstick, maybe he wants to put on lipstick. But as a parent, and I think every parent should, you should say no. Lipstick is for women, and there's a reason, why you're not allowed to wear it because you're a boy. And yes, your kid may cry, they may be upset, but guess what? They'll live.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's I'll be honest, and I have a little confession to make. I actually one time, I like for some reason, I don't know, I was obsessed with one of my sister's, like, Shopkin toys or whatever they were, and I was playing with it, and, like, my mom said, "No, that's your sister's, that's for girls," and I mean, like, yeah, I was upset for, like, 5 minutes, I didn't care,
Right.
like, it's I feel like these are so, like, little things that we're supposed to learn as kids. Do you think the kind of the, like, lack of responsible parenting is also contributing to these delusions?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if your kid came to you and said, "I'm a carrot," are you gonna now affirm them as a carrot? No. So if a little boy comes to you and says, "Oh, mommy, I'm a little girl now. I wanna wear dresses and wear makeup and I wanna grow my hair out." You do what a parent should do and say, "No, son, you are a boy. Dresses are for girls, and God made you perfectly as a little boy. You are made exactly how you're meant to be." And yes, gender dysphoria, Charlie talked about this. Gender dysphoria is a real mental disorder that needs to be addressed,
But
but you
yeah.
don't address disorders with affirming them, right? If somebody came up to you and said, "I believe that my left arm should not be on my body, and I would feel more comfortable and more affirmed and more comfortable in myself if I was able to go get my arm chopped off." Why do we say that that's crazy, but we don't think it's crazy when a man wants to go in and cut off of his penis?
It's essentially the same logic. I mean, I don't really see a difference other than the part that, they're different parts of the body. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, there are some kids out there and teenagers who actually want to stand up against this, and actually they're going
Yes.
against their parents with this, and it gives me a lot of hope, and I'm sure it gives you a lot of hope. What in particular, like in this movement, because there's a lot of elements of this movement that make me proud and make me hopeful for the future. For you, what's the thing that really gives you the most hope for this next generation?
Well, people like you. I mean, I'm still only 24, but there are many kids like yourself who are still in school. You guys are the next generation. I mean, it's getting to a point where I'm almost in my mid 20s. I'm almost the age where I could be a mom, right? Like I could be a mom now. But, you know, people my age are starting to have children, and you guys truly are the next generation. I'm almost 10 years older than you. And so things have changed so much since I graduated in 2019 from high school. I feel like that was the last normal year until 2020. We were bored. We made up all these fake genders and pronouns. And even Jeffree Star talks about how ridiculous all of this
Yeah.
is as somebody who, is a part of the LGB community. I like to separate it from the T and the Q. So it's really just you guys are so inspiring. You guys are living a whole different school experience than what I went through. Of course, there were gay kids. I mean, I have so many gay friends because I was in theater. That's just a place that naturally
Yeah.
attracts flamboyant men. I mean, there was, women that liked other women, something very normal. But I don't ever remember people making it their entire personality and forcing other people to accept it. And that was only 7 short years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously with all these, like, crazy things going on, I know it's so crazy that we're talking about this, like, just so casually, like, it's became so integrated into our society, but so what's one thing you wish everybody knew about all this stuff going on, all the work you've done, and, obviously too about abortion too, because you know a lot of things about abortion that many people don't know about. What's one hard truth or one thing that you would want everybody to know?
Right. Well, if you don't start speaking up, then who's going to do it? I mean, all these people that sit back and they say, "Oh, Savannah, I get comments every day. I could never do this. I don't have the patience. I could never be as brave as you." I'm not saying you have to go out there on the street with multiple security guards and put yourself right in the middle of liberal protests, but it starts at home, right? If you're a parent, instilling these values, telling your kids right from wrong, and then if you have a church community, and if you don't, build one. But if you already do, make sure that you're going in and you're speaking up for what's right. Every church should be a safe haven for women that find out that they're in unintended pregnancies, right? They should be able to go to a church and know that they're going to get help. The church needs to be at the forefront of the pro life movement, saying that, even if you got pregnant out of wedlock, which over 50%, I believe, marriages, are unplanned, and so a lot of these women, they're not with guys that they're married to. That's not a reason to kill your child. And so instead of judging when this child is already in existence, of course we can condemn this sin, but what we can also do is say that there is a bright future ahead. And whether you want to pursue school, whether you're having financial issues, we are here to help you. And so start stepping up in any way you can, at least on your social media and, speaking against abortion, having conversations about this and sharing that there are resources other than just Planned Parenthood or abortion facilities.
Yeah. So, and obviously, this is such an overlooked factor of abortion, and I kind of tend to talk about it a little bit more than some of my other conservative friends because I want everybody to know this. How can we really humanize a baby in the womb so we can kind of build this image of a actual human being? Because so many people lack that understanding of how a fetus is a human being. How can we sort of humanize them?
Right. Well, the fact that we have ultrasound technology, I mean, that was probably one of the best things that could have ever happened for the anti-abortion movement, because there's no way that when you see a child moving on an ultrasound that looks like a human, is the shape of a human, acts like a human child, there's no truly denying that this is a human being. But when you use their language like fetus, clump of cells, yes, you're correct, grammatically, that yes, it is a fetus, which is Latin for offspring, but let's start calling them what they are. We don't say, "Oh, I'm going to my sister's fetus shower this afternoon. I'm going to my cousin's clump of cells shower to next week," right? These are babies. These are human beings. And I really like calling them human beings when talking to pro abortion activists, because let's stop bouncing around trying to dehumanize these children just to fit your narrative. These are human beings. And I asked somebody this today at a protest, would you tell a woman who had an early miscarriage that she wasn't really pregnant, that she didn't really have a child? Because this woman today claims she was a feminist, she cared about women, but she said that a baby did not become a human until later in the pregnancy in the last term. Okay, so what in the world was growing for 22 weeks
Yeah.
before viability? Like, was it a hamburger? Was it a french fry? Was it a leaf? No. It was a human being, and we all know that. Why is it that in many states, when a man or anyone kills a pregnant woman, he is now guilty of double homicide?
Yeah.
It's just so simple, but because of all the technology that we have, because the resources that we have, that we're able to see how these abortions are actually performed, the undercover investigations that different organizations have done, there's just no arguing that a human is human from the beginning. We didn't come from something, right? Jesus was a fetus as well. And there's a special reason why God created Jesus in a mother's womb, because it just goes to show how sacred the relationship between a mother and her child truly is. And who did Jesus go to as soon as he rose from the dead? He went to his mommy. And so, if that just doesn't show how special mothers are and how empowering it is, we're the only creatures on earth that are able to gestate and menstruate and lactate all while functioning like a normal human. I
Yeah.
mean, it's incredible. The fact that mammals can do this, it's a gift, not something that should be suppressed.
Yeah, so obviously, and the left talks a lot about women empowerment. I know you mentioned empowerment through birth and the process of having a child, which is truly just a gift from God. How do you think abortion is the opposite of that?
Yeah. Because when you tell a woman that her only option is abortion, you're telling her that she's not strong enough to take on the circumstances that life has thrown her. And the majority of pregnancies that end up being aborted the babies are conceived through consensual sex, right? And majority of the people know that if you're going to have heterosexual sex, you might conceive a child. And if you don't know that, you probably shouldn't be having sex, right? And so it's telling women, like, you're not strong enough. You can't. You have to choose between your career, between how people look at you, and your child, your human child. Also normalizing things like adoption, and especially open adoption. I'll never forget last summer, at Student Action Summit, I met a young 19-year-old who chose to graciously give her child up to an adoptive family at 17 so that she could continue her dream of going to college and being child free. But the beauty of open adoption is that actually her daughter and her have the same birthday, and she's able to see her on her birthday. She's able to see her around Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, the options that she was able to have. She was even able to name her child. And there are adoptive parents who are totally fine with this. They want their child to have a relationship with their birth mother, but understanding, one day that child will understand. Might be difficult to understand, but her birth mother wasn't ready. But instead of killing her, she chose to do the responsible thing, the loving thing, and give her to a family that could afford it and was ready to do it.
Wow. So, I mean, that's so beautiful that just hearing that story. So, obviously, there are options. If you don't abort your baby, which I totally recommend to any mother, expecting mother. I mean, I don't know if you should be listening to me. I don't know if I'm the best person to listen to, but
You are.
um, so how do you think we could, through legislation and through our political leadership, how can they be helping expecting mothers a little bit better? Because I'm sure there's always room for improvement.
Sure. Well, speaking out about the resources available in each state, I think that we have a lot of work to do still. Unfortunately, we've seen some losses in Wyoming most recently for the pro life movement. So I just believe that we need to continue fighting at our state capitals, pushing for pro life legislation. And that doesn't just mean like making abortion illegal. That's a huge part of it, but also making sure that mothers have the things that they need, the resources to be able to bring a baby into this world and know that they're going to be supported. We believe in a hand up instead of a handout, right? We don't like handouts because people get very, very used to receiving things from the government. It doesn't spark initiative for people to work, it takes away all motivation. And so, being there for a while to help the mom get back on her feet is one thing, but we also want to instill in her that she's strong. She can handle this on her own eventually, but we will be here in the meantime to help her get back on her feet.
Yeah. So, just to wrap it up, what is one message that you could give to the young conservative base or the young Christian base who are really craving for that voice? I mean, what's one message that you could give to them?
Yeah. For college students, I would recommend joining your Young Republicans group or your Turning Point USA group and truly pouring yourself into that. It's not only really good on college applications, or sorry, just like future job applications to show that you were a leader, but also just to have community and feel like you're not alone. Because I go on these college campuses and I say, you guys are honestly braver than me because I could not handle going to school with some of these people because these are a different level of liberal than what I experienced back in 2019 and early 2020. And just continuing to be brave, to pray, work on your relationship with Christ, find somebody, that you really love and pursue each other, and build something beautiful. Right? That's what Charlie really wanted was he just wanted to build something true and beautiful.
Thank you, Savannah, for joining us today. I truly love this interview, and I would
Thank
love
you.
to maybe have you back on in the future. And obviously, my audience loves you so much. So, if you guys
Thank
aren't
you.
already following Savannah and her YouTube channel, Her Patriot Voice, make sure to go check her content out. It's amazing, and she is truly an inspiring voice in this movement. So, if you aren't already looking up to somebody, you should be looking up to Savannah.
Thank you so much, Gino. I appreciate that.